There's an old story of two young friends. On a beautiful late spring day 25 years ago, they graduated from the same college. They were very much alike. Both were better than average students. Both were likable, and both, as young college grads do, well, they had very ambitious dreams for the future. And as the story goes, recently both of them returned to their college for their 25th year reunion. They were still very much alike. Both were happily married, both had 2 children, and as it turns out, both had gone to work for the same company after they graduated, and they were both still at the same company. But there was a difference. One of them was the manager of a small department of that company. The other was the president of the company. Now, have you ever wondered, as I have, what makes this kind of difference in people's lives? What are the turning points, the decision points that lead down those very different paths? What if there's a formula that, once you learned it, could alter the future path of your life, that could radically transform your business success and your financial success? Would you want to know that formula? Well, I've got it. I'm Jeff Walker, and since 2005, I've been teaching that formula. It's called the Product Launch Formula. I've trained over 10,000 entrepreneurs how to launch their businesses, products, services, and their brands. And in that time, my students have done hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. In fact, that's why Forbes.com called me the $400 million man. Now, 2 important things to remember. First, I didn't make all that money. It was my students and my clients that have made all those sales. And second, that article's a few years old now, and that $400 million number is way bigger now. The story of those 2 young men that I just told you, well, that was from a famous advertisement for the Wall Street Journal. It was written by Martin Conroy, and it ran for decades. The difference between those 2 came down to education and training. Of course, times change, and success isn't about working for a company for 25 years and working your way up the ladder anymore. For so many of us, success looks more like starting your own business and creating time freedom in your life. Financial freedom, the freedom to work when and where you want, the freedom to work with the people you enjoy working with, and eventually the ultimate freedom, which is the freedom of purpose. Now, when I hear that story, I'm often reminded of my Product Launch Formula students. So many of them have had life-altering launches that completely changed the path of their lives. I can't help but think of John Gallagher. He had an educational board game about medicinal plants. He tried to launch his board game and he only sold 12 copies. That was really painful, since at the time his family was on food stamps and he was raising 2 small children. But John didn't give up. He used my Product Launch Formula to launch his game for a second time. He had no additional resources for a second launch other than the Product Launch Formula. And he sold 670 games. From 12 sales to 670 sales. In other words, he did 55 times better. Now, I certainly can't claim that you're going to get a 55 times result, or that it's a typical result, but that launch completely changed the trajectory of John's life. And the thing is, when you get that kind of result, well, it's never going to be your last launch. Since then, John has now done dozens of launches for lots of different products. And his launches, they keep on getting better. And now he's got a super successful business with 5 employees, and his business has grown every year since that first launch. It's a remarkable story, and it's not average or typical, but I have literally hundreds of other stories I can tell you of Product Launch Formula students who made just crazy, amazing transformations in their lives. And I often think about where they would be if they hadn't made that fateful decision to step into a bigger vision for themselves. A vision of a bigger income, a bigger lifestyle, a bigger impact, if they hadn't stepped up into my Product Launch Formula coaching program. So that's the big question that this video is all about. Are you ready to step up into a bigger vision for yourself? Are you ready to start your business or dramatically grow your current business? Are you ready to step into everything that would mean for you? A bigger income, a bigger, more fulfilled lifestyle, and a bigger positive impact in the world. Okay, so we've got a lot of ground to cover in this video, so let's get rolling. Now, I've already thrown some big numbers at you, but I certainly didn't start that way. I was actually a stay-at-home dad, taking care of my 2 little babies, and I hadn't made any money in years. I had nothing going for me other than desperation and this deep desire to change my circumstances and to support my family. Well, back then, I had one of those key turning points in my life. I started my first online business in 1996. And since I had no sales or marketing experience, And in those days, there was no one teaching online marketing, so I gradually figured out a way to sell my products in a way that didn't feel slimy, a way that felt authentic and honest. Now, don't get me wrong, nothing happened for me overnight. It took me a long time to work it out. And I didn't know I was inventing something that would one day change online marketing. The reality was I was just really hungry to change my family's fortunes. But that was the start of the Product Launch Formula. The thing is, every successful business, every successful product, every successful brand starts with a successful launch. You can't start slowly. That's the recipe for a slow and painful death. And there's nothing that can give you the crazy momentum, leverage, and cash flow that Product Launch Formula does. The thing is, the first time you hit that launch button, your life will be changed forever. The first time I did it, I realized I now had control over my life. I had control over my destiny. That first sale I made, I jumped up so high, well, I almost hit the ceiling. My life changed in that instant because, and this is the key, I knew that if I did it once, I could do it over and over and over. Now, since you're watching this video, I know that you have a dream, a vision of having your own business, taking control of your life, making an impact, for getting the income and lifestyle that you want. Or maybe you already have a business, but you know it could be so much better and so much more leveraged. Or maybe you're an artist or an author or soon to be author and you want to get your work out there in a big way. The thing is, I believe entrepreneurs and creators are the future of humanity. They're the ones who are driving human progress. They're the ones that are creating huge positive impact in the world. And that's why I built Product Launch Formula. And that's why I'm so invested in my PLF students. Okay, so let's get to the good stuff here. I want to start with a couple of things that might be on your mind. The big elephants in the room. And I'm talking about your list and your product. Now, when it comes to your list, your email list, there are two and only two categories of people. There are those who haven't started building their list yet, and there are those who want to have a bigger list. In other words, if you haven't started building your list yet, or if you wish you had a bigger, warmer list, well, welcome to the club. Everyone feels that way. The reality is that no matter what business you're in, you always need to focus on building your list. If you haven't started yet, you need to get started. And your launch is how you get that start. And if you've got a list, no matter what size, then you know you need to grow it. And after being in this business since 1996, I can tell you that the absolute best way to build your list is with a product launch. So how do you build your list with a launch? If you're just starting from scratch, then the seed launch is your ticket. You can start with nothing, no list and no product, and quickly build from there. If you've already got a list, then the internal launch is the way to go because it will give you the best kind of list. A list that's built through viral word of mouth. And then when you're ready to step up to the joint venture launch, well, that's where you can add thousands of people to your list in a matter of days. Of course, if you don't have a great relationship with your list, it doesn't really matter how big your list is. Your results, well, they're all about your relationship with your list. And your launch will give you the warmest, best list relationship you'll ever have. I've seen the empirical data prove this over and over and over. My open rates and my click rates, well, they're always 6 to 9 times higher after I go through a launch. And my clients see the same thing. Now, I'll get back to your list in a minute, but first I need to talk about the other elephant in the room, which is product. Ultimately, if you're going to have a real control over your business and your life, you're going to eventually need your own product. When you've got a list and you've got your product, then nothing, and I mean nothing, gives you more control in your business and your life. And if you're going to create your own product, doesn't it make sense to create one that the market really wants to buy? Wouldn't it make it a lot easier to create your product if you knew with absolute certainty that people wanted to buy it? I mean, lots of times people procrastinate on building a product, me included. You worry about making the product perfect. I know I do. But if someone is basically pounding on your door with cash in hand, begging you to take their money, would that make it any easier to create the product? I bet it would. Well, that's what the seed launch will do for you. It's about getting paid before you create your product. It's about letting your new clients help you co-create the product by telling you exactly what should go in the product. The seed launch is the single best product getting strategy in the world. Just think about starting with no list and no product and getting paid to create your product. The seed launch, well, it's something you're going to come back to over and over, even after your business is established. But that's just the first of the 3 big guns in the PLF arsenal. The next step, where you just have a big jump in leverage, is the internal launch. If you already have an existing business, this is probably where you're going to start. And I'm going to come out right now and I'm going to say this. My goal for you in the internal launch is to have the biggest sales week in the history of your business. In fact, my real goal, well, that's for you to make a year's worth of sales in 1 week. Now, that's a really big goal. That's my goal for you. Let's call it a stretch goal. It's certainly not an income claim or anything like that, but it's something I've personally achieved many times, and it's something that many of my PLF owners have achieved. Just like the seed launch, you'll come back to the internal launch over and over. So that's after that, then when it's time to really step up your results, you'll move into the JV launch. JV stands for joint venture. And in the JV launch, you're leveraging the list of other people. So maybe by this point, you've built up a really nice email list, and that's awesome. But there might be 5 or 10 other businesses in your market that also have good email lists. In a joint venture launch, they will act as your joint venture or affiliate partners, and they'll mail their lists about your launch. And all of a sudden, you might have tens of thousands of people getting emails about your launch. Nothing is typical, of course, but in my JV launches, I often add 30,000 or 40,000 or even 50,000 people to my list in a matter of days. And that's totally cool. And the results can be almost shocking. And again, nothing is typical, and there's a lot of work to be done in a JV launch. But this is how I've gone from doing a seed launch where I sold just 6 copies of my product, and then within 6 months, built up to a JV launch that did $600,000 in sales in a single week. Now, I don't get to keep all that money because you pay commissions to your JV partners. But still, you have to agree, that's a pretty amazing result, right? The thing is, it's all a formula. And with this formula, you can start where you are and go forward from there. And there's a bit of a secret that you probably don't know. It's something I've experienced that hundreds of my PLF owners have experienced. But let me tell you, until you actually have this experience, it's really difficult to understand the true power. It's something called the launch echo. This is what I mean. If you stop and think about it, I bet you can imagine having a big launch. You can just imagine all that money flooding into your bank account. When I first started, my ultimate dream was to do $10,000 in a launch. That was my ultimate dream. That seemed like a crazy amount of money, but I dreamed of it. And the funny thing is, it didn't take me all that long until I hit that goal. I didn't get it on my first launch, but I got there pretty quick. Then, once I got there, my dream was $30,000. After that, it was a $100,000 launch. After I hit $100,000, then it was a $1 million launch. Now, everyone is different and has a different number. So just take a second and think of your number. What's a really big result for you? A number that's really large, but still feels within reach. It could be $2,000 or $10,000 or $30,000 or $100,000 or even more. Think about that number. Think about your number. Do you have it? Picture it in your mind. See yourself getting that result. Feel what it would be like. So here's the thing. When you put in the work and you hit your goal, it's an amazing accomplishment. You're excited. You're jumping to the ceiling. You'll never forget that first launch. But then comes something you didn't expect. It's the launch echo. Because all of a sudden, all these extra amazing benefits start coming into your business and your life. You notice that people, well, they're treating you differently. They're treating you with more respect. Even the gurus and the big names in your market, they're returning your calls. They're answering your emails. People are treating you like an authority, like an expert. Yes, even like a guru. People are sending you free stuff. They're sending you their books. They're sending you gifts. They're asking to promote your next launch. They want to interview you. They want you to speak at their event. They want to partner with you. They want you to help them produce a product. They want you to join your team. They want to buy another product from you. And that's the launch echo. And I'm sure you can understand it. Your launch just gave you leadership positioning in your market. That positioning, well, that takes most people years or even decades to achieve. And the thing is, this launch echo works in every market and every niche. Markets from dog agility training to tennis instruction to raw food to health food to books to massage therapy to mixed martial arts to wellness to holistic healing to life coaching to real estate to business coaching to artwork to marching band accessories to meditation to brain trauma to horse ballet to your market. And it's worked all over the world, from Asia to Africa to South and Central America, all over Europe, Mexico, Canada, Australia, the UK. In fact, the last time I opened enrollment for a product launch formula class, we had people join us from 43 different countries. So you might be wondering, how does this actually work? How do you get the product launch formula to work for you? So this is the deal. I've been teaching PLF since 2005, and I've been continually refining it. In fact, I've now remade the course from scratch 5 different times. Each version has been a massive upgrade because the market's always changing, and because my PLF owners and I we're coming up with new tactics and new strategies. And frankly, I keep getting better at teaching and transferring these skills and knowledge and results to my students. But before I tell you more about Product Launch Formula, I have to warn you, because this program is going to be interactive, and since it's an online coaching program, registration is only going to be open for a short time. Then we'll close down registration and we'll get the class started. In fact, I've never had the registration open for more than a few days. And there was one time we actually filled up in 34 hours and I had to close registration early. So first off, you get the 6 modules of the Product Launch Formula coaching program. It's all hosted online, so you can access it anywhere in the world. I've broken up this training into individual training modules where I can walk you through all the steps to create and sequence your product launch. It's set up so that we go through one module each week. However, if you got scheduling issues and you fall behind, you can always work at your own pace and catch up later. And after the program's over, you'll still have access to the training, so you'll be able to go back over the material at your own leisure. And you'll have access to the program for a full year. You'll find that the ability to review the material as often as you like, at your own convenience, it's simply priceless. You'll also get detailed launch templates so you can literally fill in the blanks on your way to your launch. Now, in those 6 modules, we'll cover all the strategies and the tactics you'll use to create massive anticipation and excitement in your market, so people are ready to buy even before you open up your shopping cart. You'll learn the exact sequencing and all the nuances behind the seed launch, the internal launch, and the JV launch. Those are the big 3. You'll work your way through my templates to create great pre-launch content, build a crushing offer that your prospects will be drooling over, and this is where it all comes together. This is where you've got your pre-launch magic working, but how do you bring it down to the home stretch for maximum impact? How do you tailor your offer as you come down to launch day? How do you pressure stack properly as you go into your launch? For that matter, what happens when you open the shopping cart and the day after? How do you use your early results to plan and drive the rest of your launch? What should you be sending to your prospects once you go live? How about your JV partners? How do you keep them motivated? And what about your new customers? How do you get them excited and keep them engaged? And what are the 3 key things that you do during your actual launch day to maximize results? And what the heck's the Walker W? And what does it mean about the end of your launch? How do you structure and manage bonuses during your launch to keep the buying frenzy going? I'll show you how to do all of that in Product Launch Formula. And here's a pesky little detail. How do you make sure you actually get paid? How do you make sure that you don't run into trouble with your payment processor when you get a huge surge of sales? And how about the quick launch? For those times when you don't want to put together a full launch, but you need to bring in a quick surge of sales in a few days. And how about book launches? How does all of this apply to book launches? Well, I've got an entire section in PLF that's all about book launches, both fiction and nonfiction. Sometimes authors, well, they think that their job is done when they finish a manuscript, but really nothing can be further from the truth. If you're not out marketing your book, it's not selling. And there's no better way to market your book than with a launch. And then there's the evergreen launch. This is where you create a system so that any new prospects coming into your business, they get their very own custom launch after they join your list. That means you get the incredible power of PLF all year round. Okay, so that was a brief description of some of the stuff we'll cover in the 6 modules, and I easily could have talked for 30 minutes about each of these modules, but that would have made this video crazy long. Here's the bottom line. We're going to cover a lot of ground over these 6 weeks, and you're going to come out the other end with a complete product launch. In other words, you'll have the entire sequence from the start of pre-launch all the way through to your post-launch follow-up, including the emails you'll send, the blog posts, the pre-launch content you'll release, the timing, everything. But that's not enough. I want to take you beyond just a plan and right into action. So I'm going to give you my massive collection of sample copy that you're free to use in your launch. I'm talking about dozens of pieces of email copy, blog copy, videos, sales letters from real live launches, both from me and from my students. This is launch tested copy. Most of it's copy I created from scratch for my clients. I had an agreement with each of them that I retain rights to the copy, and this is a complete gold mine for you. These pieces come from launches I did, which brought in a total of $7,760,000 between them. That's over $7 million in sample copy results. Now, these are all pretty crazy numbers, but the bottom line is that you're going to get an amazing amount of tested copy that you can drop right into your launch. This is plug and play material. And all of a sudden, those blank spots on your product launch map, well, they start to get filled in. Next, because I love to teach from examples, we'll have case studies from PLF owners, and you'll even be eligible for your own case study after you launch. And with those case studies, well, it's given that I'm going to walk you through my exact sequences from launches I've done, but I'm also going to be walking through some student launches in great detail, and I'm going to critique the entire sequence. I found that your best learning will come from these real-world case studies. But we're not done yet. Then there's the PLF portal and the PLF community. This is something we added a few years ago, and it's just been a huge win. In fact, we immediately saw our PLF owners getting better results because they had the full support of an incredibly strong community of their fellow PLF owners. And then comes the part that takes PLF, well, it takes it to an entirely different level. And that's our live coaching calls. These are deep dive calls where my platinum level coaches get on the phone with you and the other PLF owners and answer your questions and take the material even deeper. You get your questions answered, and you also get to hear the questions from other PLF owners. And frankly, this is where we're at our best. Live, unscripted, and answering everything from newbie to ultra advanced questions. These calls are awesome. We have a lot of fun, and we get an amazing amount done on them. Plus, you get the recordings of those deep dive coaching calls. This way you can go back through all the questions your fellow students had so you don't miss a thing. Frankly, we cover so much ground on these calls that you're going to want to listen to them again and again. Finally, after your first month in the program, you'll have access to our PLF alumni group on Facebook. This is another forum for you to get your questions answered as well as connect to your fellow PLF alumni. You can find JV partners, mastermind partners, get feedback, accountability. Our alumni community is where you can celebrate your victories, and it's where you can get an encouraging word when you need it. You're never alone. You are never alone. Our PLF community is incredibly strong, and it's a huge source of pride and joy for me. It will be an amazing resource for you. And one more thing, you'll have access to the course for a full year. After that, you can upgrade to the latest version for a very small yearly maintenance fee. So it's almost like having lifetime access. So by now, you're probably thinking this all sounds pretty cool, but as you'll learn, I'm a big fan of creating what I call a crushing offer. And that's an offer which is just so over the top that it's impossible to refuse. So I thought long and hard about how I could make this offer even better for you. And I came up with not one, not two, but 3 amazing bonuses. Each of these bonuses, well, they could be worth more to you than the cost of the entire PLF course. The first bonus is all about your list, about building your list and building your relationship to your list. You'll get my entire Launching Your List 2.0 course. The course shows you how to build a list from scratch, and it teaches you how to profit from that list. Once you build it, the value of your list is, well, it's literally impossible to calculate. It keeps on making money for you week after week. Having a list, well, it's almost like having a license to print money. And that's what you'll have with my Launching Your List 2.0 course. I've never sold this course to the general public before, but when I do, it will be for $997. And you'll get this entire course for free when you first log into the PLF portal. Okay, next, the second over-the-top bonus for you is my product creation formula course. If you don't have a product yet, this course will teach you how to get one fast. Creating information products, well, it's inexpensive. In fact, it's nearly free. You almost surely already have all the tools you need right on your computer. And it's fast, and it can even be fun. Most important, it puts you in charge of your destiny. When you have your own product or product line, then you've got control, and you're in control of your destiny. The product creation formula course, well, it takes the mystery out of creating products, all the way from inexpensive ebooks up to high-priced online courses, membership sites, even live seminars and workshops. I've never sold this course before, but when I do, it'll be for $997. And your third bonus is, well, it's actually an entire suite of strategic mini courses. You can go through them quickly on your own time, but make no mistake, they can make a huge impact on what your business and even your life look like a year from now. These mini courses, well, they're not strictly about launches, but they're full of hard-won lessons from my 20+ years of experience in online business. And they're really about using PLF to build a great business for you that gives you the lifestyle that you want. First is the Operation Fast Start training. Now, if you're just starting out in your online business journey, or if you're about to start a new business, this is how you get started fast. This course will show you how to cut through the clutter, the confusion, and the shiny object syndrome so that you can focus on the critical things you need to do at the start of your business. Then we have the Launching Your Leverage bonus course. This one is all about creating a leveraged business that you can scale. This is the deal. You can either create a business that keeps sucking more hours from your life, or you can have a business that will continue to grow while you actually spend less time in it. It all comes down to a toolbox of strategies and tactics that I've been refining for years and that you can start putting in place immediately. Your third bonus course is my launch partnership training. Now, if you've ever considered helping other people out in their launches as a launch manager or a launch consultant, or even as a full-time business partner, then this course will be critical to your success. I know from personal experience that these partnerships can be super lucrative, but there are some non-obvious things you have to get right if you want to avoid disaster. And finally, I've got one more extra over-the-top bonus for you. The last piece of the puzzle that makes this a complete no-brainer, and this is it. At the end of the Product Launch Formula program, we'll have PLF Live, which is a full-blown 3-day live in-person workshop. This is an incredibly high-value, high-energy live event, and it's led personally by me. It's just me on stage coaching you and hundreds of other PLF owners through this process for 3 days. This is going to be a fantastic workshop, and it's also a place where you can meet potential JV partners and mastermind partners. So if you think that the community in the PLF portal is awesome, and it is, the community at PLF Live takes it to an entirely different level. Now, in the past, my events have cost $5,000, $10,000. I even had one that cost $25,000. So that gives you some idea about what my events are like. With PLF Live, there's just 2 things that are guaranteed. It's going to be a high-end event with great people, and I'm going to personally walk you step by step through creating your launch. The thing is, PLF Live won't cost you $5,000. When you register for Product Launch Formula today, I will give you 2 free tickets for you and a guest to PLF Live. Of course, I've got a hard limit on the number of people who can attend the event. Obviously, the conference room can only hold so many people, right? We'll give priority to the people that register for Product Launch Formula first. If you don't get registered in time, or you can't attend the event for this year for some reason, then you can attend next year's event. So if you add up the value of just these bonuses, well, you're already at $6,994. So by now you're probably wondering how much Product Launch Formula costs, right? Well, here's the reality. PLF won't cost you anything. What Product Launch Formula is about is making you money. It's an investment in yourself, in your business. In fact, here's why it's physically impossible for you to lose. First, you need to be willing to invest. just $1,997 to reserve your spot, or just $397 today if you take the easy payment plan. This covers my time and my team's time in putting all this together for you. Plus, it ensures that only serious people apply. Now, all investments have risks, except this one. There's just two ways this investment can go for you. Here's the first scenario. You put my product launch formula to work and crush it with your launch. And in that case, you're probably going to need a calculator to figure out what your return on investment is. The second scenario goes like this. You just don't do anything with the material, or you get distracted, or it's just not your thing. That's okay. It happens. In this case, you just take advantage of my 30-day free look policy and just send an email and I'll get you a refund right away. No harm, no foul, no hard feelings. So either you get a crazy return on your investment or you get your money back. Now, I don't know about you, but I sure wish I had some investments with those kind of options. Basically, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. You have a full 30 days to see if my product launch formula coaching program is right for you. If you decide that it's not, just let us know and we'll gladly refund your money. No hassles, no hard feelings. So go ahead and click the button below and join me in the product launch formula coaching program. Now, one last thing I need to mention. This is a limited time offer. You see, I only open product launch formulas to the general public once a year. We open up registration for a few days, usually between 2 days and 5 days, and then we close down registration and start the class. If you want to get in, you need to act quickly because the registration window is never open long. However, if you miss out, well, don't freak out or anything. The odds are pretty good that I'll offer another chance at product launch formula in another 12 months. It's not about to stop working and I'm not about to stop teaching it. If you're not ready to step up today, then maybe a year from now will be the right time. But the question I always ask myself is, if not now, when? Really, when is it going to be time for you to move forward? If you want a different result in your life or business, then you have to take some kind of different action. And one last thing, some people think I have some magical product launch powers, but this whole thing's not about me. It's about the formula. I'm not some marketing magician. I just stumbled onto Discovery more than 10 years ago and it's become the product launch formula. Since then, I've continually worked on it, refining it, adding it, perfecting it. The result is a method, a system, a formula that my students, well, they've had huge success with over and over. Because that's what's important. I've successfully taught others how to apply this formula over and over in all kinds of crazy markets and niches with all kinds of crazy products all over the world. Remember, this is about baby steps. It's about taking that first action and building on that action and gradually improving and gradually creating the business and the life that you deserve. If you're ready to have that kind of success, then your next step is to click the order button below and get registered for the Product Launch Formula coaching program. I started this video with the story of the two young men. One stepped up and invested in his training and his future. I faced a similar decision in my life, whether I was ready to step up and invest in my future. I'm so incredibly fortunate that I said yes. That decision, that took me from being a broke, stay-at-home dad to running a multi-million-dollar business and helping thousands of people. And I told you about John Gallagher. At one point, John was faced with the decision to invest in his future or not. His family was on food stamps, and he was trying to support his wife and his 2 young children. He sat there looking at that Buy Now button on his computer. Should he invest in Product Launch Formula or not? He was at a crossroads. His life, it could have gone one of 2 different ways. Thankfully, he made the decision to step up that day, to invest in himself. That one decision, it's reverberated through every area of his life. Where he lives, how he spends his time, what house he lives in, the car he drives, where his kids go to school, the food his family eats every day, the impact he can make in the world. The difference in his life is breathtaking. Every one of those areas of his life is dramatically better today than it was a few short years ago when he made that decision to invest himself in the Product Launch Formula. If you tried to buy back PLF from John, he wouldn't sell it to you for 100 times what he paid. There's no way. Years after John bought Product Launch Formula, I got a chance to meet his family. And when it was time to leave, when we were saying goodbye, Kimberly, his wife, Kimberly, hugged me. She hugged me so hard that it almost took my breath away. And she whispered in my ear, "Thank you. Thank you." She had tears in her eyes. And that moment, it was a moment where I could just truly feel the impact that PLF had made on her family. That moment was so powerful for me, it made all my years of hard work just melt away. And it was never more clear to me why I do what I do. So you've got a big decision to make. I can't make it for you. The only thing I can do is tell you that the Product Launch Formula absolutely works. It's worked for me, and it's worked for hundreds of my PLF owners. Of course, you have to learn the formula, and you have to work the formula. But the formula works. Lots of people have made that same decision before you. Will Hamilton, he was a tennis coach trying to figure out how to sell tennis instruction materials from his parents' basement. It wasn't working for him until he got PLF. Now he's got a hugely successful business, and he's worked with some of the highest level tennis players in the world, the highest level pros. Or Susan Garrett, she was a successful dog trainer, but she could only work with a few dozen people per year, and she had to travel all the time to do so. Now she has a line of products, an incredibly successful business, and she helps tens of thousands of dog owners every year, all while traveling just a small fraction of the time that she used to. Now, none of these stories are typical. After all, no one is typical. But what is typical is that after you do your first successful launch, well, you immediately start planning your next launch. Your life is never the same again. But if you decide to pass up on this investment, I can guarantee you this: your life won't be any better tomorrow than it is today. Now is your time. It's time to step up and join thousands of other PLF owners. There's never been a better time, but you have to act now. Registration is closing soon. Now is the time to act. Enroll in Product Launch Formula and bring the incredible power of a true launch into your life and your business. Click the button below and join me now. This is your time. I'd love to serve you in building your business and creating a bigger, better life. Click the button now, and I'll see you on the inside.